We're ready.
Give me 1 minute. All right, I'm going to call the Design Adjustment Committee to order. Before we get started, I need to read the introduction. The Design Adjustment Committee's purpose is to establish clear and measurable review criteria for the consideration of major deviations from the city's technical standards and specification manual, building design and material standards, and subdivision standards. The Design Adjustment Committee does not consider the housing type, cost of the proposed unit, occupants, building material, unit size, number of bedrooms, or the architectural design of the structures. These hearings are quasi-judicial evidentiary hearings. That means it's like a court hearing, and the committee's decisions are constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based on the facts presented. All variance requests require a 4/5 vote of the committee to grant the variance. Appeals of the Design Adjustment Committee decisions are to the Board of Adjustment. A written notice of appeal must be filed with the city clerk within 30 days of the committee's decision. Appeals are set for hearing before the Board of Adjustment within 30 days or as soon thereafter as practicable. The parties to these cases are entitled to an impartial board. If a board member has a fixed opinion on the matter, a financial interest in the outcome, a close relationship with the affected person, or has had any ex parte communication about the matter, please disclose that information to determine if a recusal is necessary. City staff will introduce the project to the committee, and the committee members may ask questions. The applicant may present additional information about the project, and the members may ask questions. If anyone wishes to provide evidence at today's hearing, witnesses must sign in on the clipboard at the back of the room and be sworn in. Because witnesses are to provide sworn testimony, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. When a witness comes forward to give testimony, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and speak clearly. At this time, staff will administer oath for individuals who intend to provide testimony.
If I can have staff, applicants, and any members of the public who wish to speak this afternoon, to please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of previous minutes. We've got several. There's July 20th, 27th, and August 17th. Do we have to approve those individually?
If there are any edits suggested, that would be my suggestion. If there aren't any, I don't have a problem with you doing them as a group.
Are there any edits to any of the three meeting minutes? I guess the 20th, the special meeting on the 27th, and then the last meeting, which was August 17th to the three?
I didn't see any.
I have none.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor of approving all three minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Do we have to take action on the first item, the plant court? Do we have to continue it, or does that automatically happen?
Yes, sir. It would need to be continued to that date certain, okay, if that's acceptable with the committee.
Certainly acceptable to me.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we have to vote on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we continue that item to the October 19th meeting.
Second?
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So that brings us to the second item, which is the Pine Grove subdivision. Is there a staff presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the DAC. This request for a waiver from Design Adjustment Committee is located at 909 and 913 Pine Grove Drive. This is a request for a preliminary plan and design adjustments for a residential subdivision. And this is for an allowance of the use of 3 existing driveways on site. The current zoning is R15, which is moderate density, single dwelling residential. Currently, there are 2 homes, 2 single dwelling residences located on 1 parcel. The applicant is proposing to subdivide, so each residence is located on its own individual parcel. The applicant is requesting relief from these 3 waivers listed on your screen and in your case summary. First being relief from the number of driveways permitted along a major thoroughfare. The second being relief from the minimum corner clearance for driveways along a major thoroughfare. And the third being relief from the minimum property line offset for driveways along that major thoroughfare. The lot, as mentioned, consists of the 2 existing single-dwelling residential structures. The proposed subdivision is shown on your screen with the proposed lot lines and the 3 existing driveways circled in red. There are no changes proposed to the lots, to the driveway, or to the driveways accessing each structure, just the additional lot that's being proposed. Staff recommends the conditions outlined in the report be applied if the DAC recommends approval of this request. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and the applicant is here as well with presentation and is able to answer any questions you might have.
Hey, Pat, how much total frontage is part of the original parcel?
It looks to be, the total frontage, I believe is close to almost 700 feet long.
Okay. I couldn't tell from what I saw a 626 and then I saw a 126. I didn't know if that was 626 plus 126 for the new.
Yes.
So the new parcel is 126 of, okay, so it'll be a 600 foot with a leftover of 1, okay.
I believe it's
500.
626 is the total.
Oh, it's the total?
So they would be, the current parcel unsubdivided would be permitted 2 driveways, and there's.
Correct.
Okay.
And if subdivided, they would be allowed 2 driveways. Yeah.
Well, unsubdivided, they would be allowed 2 as well, right? If they've got more than
Yeah.
600, they're allowed 2.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for Pat? Thanks, Pat.
Yep, thank you.
Does the applicant wish to speak on this? Thank you.
Brian, if you'll get me up here. So while we're
Ma'am,
getting the.
put the microphone down. There you go.
Presentation up, there we go. Thank you for taking some time to review our small but important to us project. After the big one that we just looked at, this seems tiny in comparison, and want to thank Brian and all his group for all their help and support along the way, because this is kind of new ground for us as we're navigating through it. We have a partnership. My name is Beth Struckel, and my partner, Peter O'Brien, is here with me. I'm a UNCW professor, retired corporate executive, resident of Carolina Beach, and owner of land in both New Hanover County, Carolina Beach, and City of Wilmington. Pete was the owner of a commercial construction company until just a few months ago. He sold that. He's a licensed general contractor. He's a resident of New Hanover County and a landowner in the City of Wilmington and New Hanover County. Most importantly, we're not developers, so we're a little naive about going through this process, so please bear with us as we go through this. A little bit about the project. So over the last couple years, for one reason or another, we ended up renovating 5 properties and selling them, Peter and I together, for either personal divorces, divorces of friends, unfortunately some family members that passed away from COVID during the whole process. And we kind of liked it, and we kept, as we were working on one project, we kept riding by this Pine Grove property, and when we realized there were 2 houses on the project, we said, wow, this is kind of cool. They needed renovation. We thought, gosh, we're pretty good at that now, and we saw that there were amazing marsh views, which you couldn't see. They were unobstructed because of the overgrowth on the property. We closed on the property about a year ago, so around October 1 last year. We've completed renovations on one of the homes, and it's just gone under contract to sell. The other home is under renovation, and we expect to finish that, the completion of that renovation just after the new year. As Pat showed you, there's over 5 acres. About half of it is low-lying land and marshland, and as we measured it, it's about 626 feet along Pine Grove. Oops, I'm going backwards here. So just to bring attention to exactly where we're talking about the stripe of Pine Grove between the major intersections of Greenville Loop and Holly Tree, and the more proximate Crooked Creek Lane, which is a private road that goes into a small subdivision development there. To familiarize you with some of the landmarks, the corner of Greenville Loop has the Lowe's food store and the Scotchman convenience store, and right next to the Scotchman is a CFPUA pump station. Our property abuts to that pump station. Along the dividing line is Toomer's Creek. There's a culvert there along Pine Grove, and we run about 626 feet all the way to Crooked Creek, then bounded on Pine Grove in the front, and on the back, what we would call Hewlett's Creek Marsh. So also want to bring to your attention, I'm sure you're aware of it, but it's very proximate to this location, the City of Wilmington Pine Grove project. We've been working with Jason Pace, the project manager. This is the south part of the Pine Grove Improvement Project, designed to improve the congestion along the stretch from Oleander to Holly Tree. And what's proposed there in the future, fairly short term, within the next year, they hope to start construction on the southbound part. I think the northern part, they're looking to start work sometime after the first of the year. But to take out the traffic light at the intersection of Greenville Loop and Pine Grove, replace it with a traffic circle, add a third lane along Pine Grove, that stretch in front of our property, which would be a turning lane, and then on the opposite side of the road of Pine Grove, across from our property, to extend the trail. The impact of this, unfortunate, but we support the project, is that we'll lose 8 feet of frontage and some additional property because of easement. And we know so far the plan is to remove at least 6 large trees, 3 on the 913 property and 3 on what would be the 909 property, really because of the Duke easement and where they're going to change and replace the electric poles. So Pat showed you the survey plot. The whole left side is wetlands, and so you can kind of see that visually here. We're going to be focused in on this front corner part where the 2 homes are. And our plan is, as Pat said, to just basically take what is in operation today, which is 2 houses on the same property, and divide them into 2 properties so that we can sell each one of them as they are completed in renovation. And to do that, we're just looking to carve out the top right corner of the large parcel where the purple lines are to create the second parcel for the 913 home. So the 909 property will be the larger property. It will be everything except what's in the purple. And it will include the original home, which is 909 Pine Grove, the white brick home. That home was built in 1975 and was inhabited until the occupant died. I think it was in 2017. There is an asphalt circular or loop driveway accessing that property. The second home is a home that was built for a family member and their family, so one of the children of the people living in 909, and it was built in 1995. There's a large concrete pad and driveway in the front of this house, which provides the only access to the house, and what we would claim to you is that there's really no other viable access to this property. So let's take a look at that. And sorry for the quality of this picture. We did not invest in drone shots for the sale of the property or for this meeting, but it shows you that this is the 913 property, the surround of trees on this property, 60 feet trees. I have some other pictures that will kind of show you the type of trees that we're talking about. You can barely see the drive access to 913 there. And then to Crooked Creek, and the yellow dotted line then is our property line along Crooked Creek. Here's some other pictures that will kind of bring it to light a little bit more. The left picture is looking from the garage, the corner of the house, out to Pine Grove. So you can see the large concrete stripe there, and also see generally the proximity of the road, which will be coming 8 feet closer in. And then the other two pictures are also along Pine Grove, one from, kind of in the center of the property, and the last one actually is taken from the corner. That corner is just about at Crooked Creek. So you see the height of the trees and the amount of the trees. That tree line is pretty much the same on 3 of the sides of the house. In the back, it's actually even deeper. Okay, so the back of the house is much more wooded property. So as Pat said, we have 3 issues at hand, and they all relate to the driveways. The first one is that the provision is that you can only have 2 drives within a 601-foot stretch, and we have 3 drives right now within a 626. The second one is that we're calling, I guess, technically the intersection at Crooked Creek, the private road, is technically a major intersection because it intersects with Pine Grove, which is considered a major thoroughfare. And the corner, the driveway is too close to the corner per the provision. So they want you want 230 feet of access, and I think we're about 125 there. And then finally, the southbound part of the loop from the driveway at 909 is too close to the concrete driveway at 913. They should be about 75 feet apart, and I think they're about 25 feet apart. So we're asking for a waiver or variance on this, and just want you to consider the following things. One is, as is what we're asking for. We're not asking for anything different than what has been in operation since 1995. We are not doing anything that will increase the congestion or the density in this area, and we are being very cooperative with Jason Pace and the City of Wilmington to support the project work that's going on to relieve congestion along the thoroughfare. The second thing I want to say is that the loop drive at 909, while it is true 2 drives, functionally it's really only 1 car coming out at once because there is no garage here, and we know from the last year in our own behavior, you drive in one way and you drive out the other side. So the likelihood that 2 cars would be coming out, one on each side at the same time, is very low, and so we ask you to consider that. All that being said, our highest priority is maintaining the existing access at 913. And there are a number of reasons for that. One is that we are under contract, so we do have some urgency. Partially our fault. We missed the timing of the August meeting. We got our application in a little bit late there. It's just, naivety, I guess. We were naive about the process. So we're a little late on that. That's our problem, not yours, but we want to at least make you aware of that. Secondly, because of the surround of the 60-foot trees, it's very difficult to access anywhere else. There's no other place that would not require us to take down trees. It would also require, to change the drive, additional concrete. And because the house is so close to the road, it would be very difficult to even try and maneuver a car into the garage from another direction. We did talk to Crooked Creek about possibly accessing from the other side and cutting down trees, and they were not amenable. As you can imagine, homeowners association for a subdivision doesn't really want to help somebody else that's trying to encroach on their subdivision. The tree removal certainly takes away important buffer and privacy, decreasing the value. And as we mentioned before, we know that we're going to have some trees removed already. 3 large ones on the 913 side of the property. So we're asking for the consideration based on these. And again, highest priority being no change on 913. So at this point, we don't have anything else to share. We're happy to answer any other questions, and now I guess we do sort of understand the process here now, since we listened in on the last group. So, any questions that we can help answer? Pete, do you have anything to add? Okay.
The only question I have is for the white brick house, the
Yes.
909.
Yes.
Do you know approximately how wide the asphalt driveway is?
You mean the width of the drive themselves? I think it's about 12 feet, but don't hold me to that. It's wider than 8. I think it's about 12. It's not the 16 that would allow to, a subdivision there for, we originally looked at, could we drive down there and put additional lots in the back? And we're like, no, that's not what we're about. So no, they are not set up right now to be able to accommodate that.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I don't have any problem with the way it's operating today. Any thoughts, any discussion?
Do you open the public hearing?
Oh,
Or do
well,
we-
we can, yeah, we can go ahead. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay. Before we make any decision, we need to open the public hearing for this project. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak? I don't think there is anybody here. If not, I will close the public hearing. So, Brian, just to be clear, we have to vote on variances. Do we also have to approve the preliminary plan? Or just the variances?
It is technically a subdivision, so I would say yes.
Okay.
Although they're just drawing a lot line, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Okay. And then a question for Pat. Is it on page 4 of the report, there are 5 recommendations. Is that what you wanted to add as standard conditions if we do approve?
That is correct, and I would make one correction. I believe the conditions, let's see, 3 and 4 refer to change of use plan. That should be a preliminary plan.
3 and 4.
Preliminary plan, not change of use plan. Right here.
Oh, for 2. Approval of this change of use plan. Okay, got it.
2 as well, yes.
Okay, preliminary plan. Okay. My personal opinion is I don't have any problem with the way it's operating today. I don't think there are a lot of options. I might even add, I'm not even sure that the number of driveways is an issue because 2 one-way driveways technically count as one driveway. But we do have the other ones to consider, and I guess if not knowing the width and other things, we might as well just look at them as 3 driveways now. My question is, and I kind of want to get this on the record, is I don't want a decision that we make now based upon what's out there today to affect what may come in the future. You guys said you aren't developers, but if a developer makes you an offer you can't refuse on 909, I have a feeling you will get out of the business. And then, I don't want us to be bound by, oh, well, you've already approved 2 driveways potentially on 909 parcel. So if there is a development project, does any decision we make now carry forward to that project?
I think you could, if it is a concern, I think this committee can make a condition that if any future development occurs, then they would have to come back through or comply.
Okay. And I guess this is a question for the applicant, and I'm not sure you need to come back up. But are you just going to be using the building as it stands now, or is there going to be a ADU or another building that's going to be in the future?
No, in fact, we've taken down a bunch of buildings that were
So
there.
it's
There were a
one
lot of
single-family
storage.
residence?
It's just 2 residences, so we're not planning anything else. And I guess on the other question, it seems to me that if a builder wanted to develop that side, they would probably need to do an additional subdivision or something, and wouldn't they have to come through this anyway? I mean, I understand what you're saying. This particular thing is different than what might come in the future.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the consideration. Any other questions?
And I don't have any.
I think staff would think that condition number 4 would cover that concern.
The preliminary plan, change of use plan, okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion from the group?
I guess this is, I mean, it's come up before, not something like this, but there is a way to eliminate a future variance, you know, by getting rid of one of the asphalt drives. Probably the one closest to the 913 house. I mean, any single family use can operate with a single driveway. A lot of single driveways aren't more than 10, 12 feet wide. I think this would be an opportunity to bring, I don't have any problem with the 913. It's got its own restrictions based on the site and location to Crooked Creek, but I think this is an opportunity. We would be reducing impervious material. You know, there was extra benefits of eliminating a drive on the 909 property. Does anybody have any?
I would agree with that. I mean, it definitely, you would still have the 75, you would still have the 230-foot corner clearance on 913, and you'd have the 75-foot property line offset on 913, but you would be eliminating the 75-foot property line offset from the 909 property.
Yeah.
So you would be reducing the number of waivers there.
Number of driveways per, yeah.
Right.
Because the lot 909 will have 2 driveways with 500 feet of frontage.
Okay.
Do you think we should pull the variance for the distance from Crooked Creek Road and do that separately? Because there's no way they could comply with it just because of the size of the lot, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that it seems,
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think that's a good point. Do you want to just talk about that one first and get that? I think we've covered all the procedural stuff. We can vote on a variance at this point, right?
whatever
Okay.
you'd like to do, yeah.
So I agree. I mean, I think that with the subdivision, the only way you could comply is if there was some sort of cross-access agreement. And I kind of had that as a note to discuss as well. You know, let's sort of move forward and, you know, the White House, maybe this works out for a few years, and 5 years down the road, you know, the land value just dictates that something else is needed there, and maybe even 913, you know, it would be nice to have a cross-access agreement, because right now, the owner, it's one parcel, and the owner can place a driveway anywhere along that frontage. But if they're separate owners, and, you know, once they sell the property at 913, then they own it, and they can do whatever they want with it. It would almost be nice if they had a cross-access easement to allow a shared driveway in the future. I don't think it necessarily has to be built that way now, but to my mind, that would be a helpful thing to have to sort of set the table for a more compliant project in the future. Is that a possibility, Sean, to require a cross-access agreement or easement?
You'll need to come to the microphone.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry for that.
I know we're mixing two issues, but where would the cross easement be? The cross easement access? Where are you envisioning that would be in the future?
Somewhere along the property line of 913 and 909, so that they can have a shared driveway in the future.
But I think Mr. Kramer was suggesting possibly going to one drive access for 909. And so are we?
Yeah, nothing would have to change on the ground.
Okay.
You're just putting.
You're just laying it up as an opportunity.
That's right,
in the future.
an opportunity in the future to, you know.
There's a power line right now that runs from Duke Progress Energy right along that line as it is now. So presumably there's, I guess, some type of utility easement, or would be, I guess. I'm guessing. So power line runs right down that line as it is now.
Okay, so the easement would need to be on the 909 property in order to do that. What does everybody else think about that option? I was just.
I don't know that it's necessary.
You don't think so?
No, I think if there's going to be, some big developer comes in and wants to buy, the white brick house and turn it into townhouses or condos, I mean, they're going to have to comply with whatever standards are out there. So meaning if a developer comes in and says, okay, I want to put 12 units back here, and there's going to have to be some access out here, that's the time that probably these would go away, and then it would come into compliance, or get as close to compliance as they dimensionally can.
Because at that point in time, that would be considered a change of use then, if that was based on your scenario that you just said, that they'd have to go through this whole process again for approval if they're going to go to hypothetically a multi-townhouse or something down like that, that would be considered a change of use, or would it not?
I don't think so. Brian, would that be a change of use? It's just a more intense residential use.
Or just a higher density?
Yeah.
It would be a development that requires review and approval, and I'm just, and Mr. Evans can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure we can encumber a property with an easement for some unknown future condition.
Okay.
I think that's correct.
All right. Well, I like Dennis's thought about eliminating the one driveway. Anybody have a motion? Well, actually, I guess we got to have a motion on the.
I'm sorry, can I ask one other question?
Sure.
About if we go to one drive? So we've obviously talked about that. Is there some flexibility if we went to one drive that we could eliminate the two that are accessed right now and put one in the middle as long as it was 75 feet from the 913 drive? So that,
Absolutely.
so that we still have this fan out and it keeps the kind of the beauty and the integrity of the property, but it eliminates one driveway. Basically, the two access would be removed and one would be in the
I
middle.
see what you're saying. Yeah, that's totally
We don't
fine.
know what it
Yep.
would be, but we just want to make sure that we're not saying we're eliminating one versus the other. We're just eliminating one. We're going to
Well,
go to one.
The one, yeah.
We're reducing it to one, but what we're doing is eliminating the driveway closest to the property line. So we wouldn't want you to put back one within 75 feet.
Absolutely.
But if you wanted to either use the existing one on the, I guess,
The
left
north
side.
side, right.
The
Or
left
create
plan
another one as long as it was 75 feet and in compliance, we're good.
Yep, you're good.
Thank you.
Let me make one, though, at least observation or point. The driveway you're talking about eliminating right now is the direct access straight into the carport. It's a fairly narrow driveway on both sides. So the reality is coming in that one that is to the north, looping around from a practical standpoint, if depending on what you're saying, eliminate, we won't even be able to get a car in that carport. So, I mean, if you say eliminate it, removing the asphalt.
We're just talking about the connection to the right-of-way. Like
Think
what
of it as the road access.
where the arrow is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just where the arrow is.
Gotcha.
Once it
So
gets on
if
your
we do
property,
this,
Yeah, then you're okay with
We
it?
could do this, or we could do this.
Exactly.
As long as it's
Pave the whole
75
thing.
feet. Okay, thank you.
any other discussion before we? Okay, I'm trying to get to my list of variances. Okay, I'm going to start with the one, which is number 2, adjustment number 2, which is the minimum corner clearance of a driveway on a major thoroughfare, 230-foot minimum. The 913 doesn't meet it now. I don't think anybody has any objection. Do we have any motion on that particular waiver?
Make a motion to approve adjustment to relief from the minimum corner clearance for driveways along a major thoroughfare due to the fact that the site isn't large enough for that, and they've got it pretty much as close to the far side from the corner as possible. They've done what they can, I think, to comply with that as justification.
Certainly. I would second that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So number 2 is approved. Then I think numbers 1 and 3 are very, very similar. I don't really see any sort of circumstances that would really separate them out, so I'd like to consider them in batch. If, the 75-foot property line offset and the number of driveways from a major thoroughfare, I like the scenario that Dennis mentioned, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to verbalize that into a motion. A motion to approve adjustments 1 and 3 with the condition that they remove the driveway closest to the 913 property line. Which driveway, is that south or north? What is that?
South.
South, the southern driveway. And that would be, again, just the portion within the right-of-way, and then, yeah, that's my condition.
I would add to that, or maybe modify that condition to reduce the number of driveways for the 909 property from 2 to 1, but meet the technical standard specifications from the property line.
Perfect. Perfect.
And they're welcome to reuse the northernmost driveway.
Okay, so let me recap that. So the condition is that we will approve 1 and 3. The condition is that we eliminate the southern driveway and they can reconfigure any along the frontage per the technical standards.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's number 3. Now I guess we have to approve the preliminary plan, and there are those recommended conditions that we would need to add should we approve it. Any discussion?
I'd also like to add, if whoever makes the motion, just make sure that you're correcting those conditions to reference a preliminary plan as opposed to a change in use.
I'll make the motion to approve the preliminary plan with the recommended conditions provided by staff corrected to, from change of use plan to preliminary plan.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Thank you.
Okay. I believe that concludes this particular item. And yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Craig and I went back here the other day, because the marina's back there right now. Dude, it's funny, so the only reason we got in, there's a gate up here, and we pulled up, and the guy manages, it's like one guy on a go-kart, bearded dude, great. And so we talked to him, he's like, you gotta go see Peaches. And we're like, what are these Peaches? He goes, we've got it's actually now a retention pond, it's probably never dries out, but it's pretty, as you can see, it's here, it's kind of connected to the wetland, intercoastal barrier, and all that stuff. I don't know why he didn't do that, and we approved it and then said the condition is to not do the thing we just approved.
What did I say?
Yes, yes.
We were being
yes.
nice.
That's right.
I don't know how that works.
Potato, potato, we land in the same spot. Yeah, you know.
Well, the 913 still has a 75-foot property line offset issue. Huh? No, that was a 230. I guess the number of driveways, we technically could have gone away. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But the 75 we just still had because of the 913.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes up here. It's not so readily. Where's your boys at? For this? Do we still vote?
Can we continue it?
I say we vote on it.
I kind of had some questions on that.
Yeah, so anyway, so we drive, and so, you know, we kind of halt right here, and there's like trees, no access to this thing except for one, like, it looks like a little path where people walk down to the water. It's about this wide. Come to find out, that's where Peaches sunbathes. Peaches is a 15-foot gator that lives like in this, or maybe comes in and out or whatever.
Is that a stormwater pond?
But it's now to the point where it's almost been absorbed by the surrounding wetlands and intercoastal, so it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know that if I bought all this, like, I don't know that I would distinguish between it, really. It's like,
We have to distinguish.
We
from a
do.
Stormwater permit, yeah.
but, you know,
Somebody's gonna have to get in there and introduce himself to Peaches.
so we met Apple. We didn't see Peaches, so Craig, it's me and Craig Harris, and we're standing there and I'm from Louisiana, I'm from New Orleans, right? I've been there looking at gators since I was a kid. So we're in there and we're looking around, and I'm like, and we don't see Peaches. We're looking. I'm like, there's a gator over there. We're like looking through the trees, see the other side. He's like, no gator over there. I'm like, listen, man. I'm like, if there's one thing I know how to do is I don't know anything else. This is the one thing I know is what a gator looks like in the water. I'm like, that's a gator. And so we sat there watching that little gator that came on by. It was like probably a 9-foot gator, too big or whatever. Yeah, little baby, that's that. We told the dude when he came out, he's like, did you see Peaches? And we're like, no, we saw a little one. He's like, oh, that's Apple. And so, but it was all, you know, Apple was swimming around right here. Peaches was probably back up in here somewhere. It's a hippo. It's an actual hippo. They got loose. They just, yeah, it's a manatee rolling around in there. It was pretty neat though, going, you know, and just seeing all that stuff. And it was really neat too because when you're looking at, you could see how the critters had like made little tunnel like through the brush and reeds, you know, like little tunnel where intercoastal everywhere else.
Oh, that's probably how they're, so I wish you had told me that, now I'm gonna have to go do an inspection.
Get the dude. I don't remember the dude's name, but just we got his. I think Craig's got his number. Anyway, he said we could call him anytime we wanted to go in there. Craig Harris. He works in planning. He's environmental. So in the long range team, it's Nicole, senior planner, and then me, urban design. Craig, environmental planning, and now Abby just got one of our other long range planners. Pulled her from downstairs.
Oh, so she's not, you're moving down there tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah, we pulled her. So
So something to ask you guys about this, you know, say this goes to density. There's some of these marketplace lots.
okay, remember the case?
Well, I'm asking about sewer. This is a question I assume is on that. But, I mean, don't we think that it's gonna happen all the way up to, all the way up that peninsula, all the way up that area?
Development?
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
pull up Google Earth and look at what's there. Well, if we do, you can't flush at City Hall. So,
Well, I mean, the water treatment plant's north of here.
no, sewer treatment.
I'm sorry, sewer treatment plant. Yeah. It's right by where y'all, off in the sun.
But I'm
It really is.
everything all, basically all the way up to our plant is gonna become.
So if somebody's contacted.
Oh, right. Well, you can see, yeah.
Yeah,
Earlier this week, probably Monday,
Yep.
and they replied,
that's just
we need to be.
There's nothing back there right now.
Without physically attend the meeting.
And I bet if they do, whatever this ends up looking like, if they do it,
Tell me I don't want to be there.
I think you're right. Bristol Falls is not far behind.
Was it gonna be Mike or Josh or who?
It was, Brian Ensign was the one that replied.
Ensign?
He works for the engineering firm, I guess. But I sent it to Mike and Brian, like, here's the packet.
Huh. Strange.
It's a big project to not show up for.
And it's a big sneaking on, no, it's going up.
All right.
Whatever the purview of the board is.
I can step out, see if I can catch Sam on the phone, see if he knows what's up.
I mean, this, like, I almost wonder, is it worth going through, and I can talk to them, but is it worth, can we hear the item without the applicant?
It's not too late.
You want to?
They just won't be able to be, provide
except for design, right? Like, I do that. But like, I rely on traffic engineering, like, okay, you set these rules over here. Zoning and planning's gonna set these rules for development over here. There's gonna be utility easements. So like, basically, once I have all the rules in my head from everyone, I can put them together and make them into, it's like having imagine like it's an orchestra, right? If he's playing with no sheet music, he could be playing.
Well, my only thing, the only question I ask is, why can't it be a road?
You could be nailing it, playing, whatever, xylophone, like a utility company, and be nailing it. But y'all aren't playing the same tune. You could be playing perfectly, you could be playing perfectly, zoning could be playing perfectly. What I do is make sure that we're all playing the same sheet music.
clients have let them know, it sounds like a calendaring error. Out of an abundance of caution, I'd ask that the board continue this to 10/19 so that the applicant can have a chance to present any evidence that they may have on this matter.
Okay, well, I guess first I'll bring the meeting back to order since we're on recess, and then, does anybody have any objection to continuing the item? Anybody have a motion?
Motion to continue.
I will second that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item is continued to the October meeting, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.